Tractate Chullin, page 43. Top of the page with the words Ella Hanach Tarti Deapikt La Tepik. The Gemara responds, rather, if one counts this way, one must say that these two cases that you removed, meaning an animal whose hind legs were severed and one whose hide was removed, do not remove. The count will then remain 18. Amar ula shmoina mine treifois nembru lo leMoshe miSinai. Okay, Amar ula shmoina mine treifois nembru lo leMoshe miSinai. Ula says that 8 types of treifot were stated to Moses at Sinai. Interesting. Nekuva besuga netula v'chasua kurua durusa nefula shavua lepoke lekusa derachish bar papa. Okay. These are the 8 things that were said to Moses at Sinai. And all the cases mentioned in the Mishnah and elsewhere fall into these categories. An animal whose organ was perforated or severed, removed or missing a piece, one that was torn or clawed by wild animals, or that fell or was broken. The Gemara notes, this list is compiled to the exclusion of a deceased organ, which Rachish bar Papa mentioned with regard to a kidney. Ula does not deem this as a treifa. Amar Chia bar Rava Shmoina treifois yesh b'nekuva im tomar teisha mara Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda Gatanele Detanya nikva hakeva nikvu hadakim treifo. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda omer Af nikva hamara. Chia bar Rava says there are 8 treifot in the category of a perforated organ: a perforated gullet, brain, membrane, heart, lung, abmesum, intestine, lower inner rumen, and reticulum or omasum that was perforated to the outside. If you say that there are 9 because a perforated gallbladder is also mentioned in the Mishnah, one can say that with regard to the gallbladder, only Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, teaches it, and it is the opinion of an individual, as it's taught in Braita, if the abomasum. Don't ask me what that is, because I don't know, but you can probably look it up afterwards. If the abomasum, or abomasum, was perforated, or the intestines were perforated, is the treifa. Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, says, even if the gallbladder was perforated, it is a treifa. Hilchos chavar kazayis, or chaver kazayis bara vekur kevan siman. The Gemara provides a mnemonic for the following statements of Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Rabbi Yosef. Halachot, friend. Is hilchot, chaver, kazayit, mara, bekur, kevan. Okay. Halachot, friend, olive bulk, gallbladder, and gizzard. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yochanan halachot, Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Yosef, says that Rabbi Yochanan disagrees with the statement of Chia bar Rava, and says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, that a perforated gallbladder renders the animal a treifa. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yochanan mai ahadru le chavre Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda yishpoch laaretz merarati ve'adayin Iyov kayam. Amar lehem Ein maskurin masanisim. Dilotei machi. Yiparek el Yosai velo yachmon. Mika chayai. אלא ניסה שאני יכסיב רק את נפשו שמר. Achanami nisa shani. And Rabbi Yitzchak, the son of Rabbi Yosef, says that Rabbi Yochanan says, what did the friends of Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, respond to him? They responded that Job said, he pours out my gall upon the ground. Job 16, verse 3. And yet Job was still alive. Evidently, one with a perforated gallbladder can live. Rabbi Yossi said to them, Job was kept alive by a miracle, and one does not mention miraculous acts as a proof for a general ruling. As if you do not say so, then the other phrase in the verse, he cleaves my kidneys asunder and does not spare, is problematic. Does one with cleaved kidneys live? Rather, a miracle is different, as it is written that God said to Satan with regard to Job, only spare his life. Job 2, verse 6. Under natural circumstances, Job should have died from his injuries. But, in this case, he was kept alive by a miracle. Here too, with regard to the gallbladder, one must say that a miracle is different, and one cannot bring proof from it. And Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Rabbi Yosef, says that Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is in accordance with the statement of the one who says that if the liver of an animal was removed, but when all bulk of it remains, it is kosher. Umiyamar Rabbi Yochanan hachi ve'amar Rabbi Bar Bar Chana amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha is a mishneh. ותדען נתלה הקווה ולא נשתיה ממנו כלום. הנשתיה כשאף על גב דלא הביא כזייס. המוראי ננהו ואליבא דרבי יוחנן. The Gemara asks, and does Rabbi Yochanan really say this? But doesn't Rabbi Bar Chana say that Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is always in accordance with an unattributed Mishnah? And we learn in the Mishnah, if the liver was removed and nothing remained of it, the animal is a treifa, one can infer that if any of it remained, the animal is kosher, even if what remains does not constitute an olive bulk. The Gemara responds, they are amoraim, and they disagree with regard to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan as to whether he holds that the halacha is always in accordance with an unattributed Mishnah. Diyam Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yosef Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mara shenikva v'choved so tamta k'sheicha. The Gemara brings another statement of Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Rabbi Yosef, says that Rabbi Yochanan says, if the gallbladder was perforated in a place where it was adjacent to the liver, and the liver seals the hole, the animal is kosher, even though a perforated gallbladder normally renders an animal a treifa, according to Rabbi Yochanan. Yom Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yosef Amar Rabbi Yochanan nikava kur kevan chiz shelo kayam kosher. And Rabbi Yitzchak, son of Rabbi Yosef, says, Rabbi Yochanan says, even though the Mishnah on 56a teaches that if a bird's gizzard was perforated, it is a treifa. If the gizzard was perforated but its inner lining is intact, the bird is kosher. Bailahu nikav hiki akis vekur kevan kayamai toshumad Rabbi Nachman nikav zevlo zeh kasher avrav shnei oiros yesh lo leveshet chitzon adom ופנימי לבן ניקב זה ולא זה קשר. למה ללמם חיצון אדם ופנימי לבן דיחלב תרפה? A dilemma was raised before the sages. if the inner lining of the gizzard was perforated, but the flesh of the gizzard is intact? What is the halacha? The Gemara suggests, coming here, proof from that which Rav Nachman said with regard to a perforated gullet. If both its outer and inner lining were perforated, the animal is a treifa. But if this lining was perforated without that lining being perforated, it is kosher. Similarly, Rava says the gullet has two linings, the outer red and the inner white. If this lining was perforated without that lining being perforated, the animal is kosher. The Gemara asks, why do I need for Rava to state that the outer one is red and the inner one is white? Isn't this self-evident? The Gemara responds, this teaches that if the two are switched, meaning the outer lining turned white and the inner red, the animal is treifa. A dilemma was raised before this ages. Nikvu shtem zel shelo keneged ze mahu. Aman mazut mishmei Rav Papa veshit kosher ekur kevan pasul. Maskiv Ravashi adraba veshit deachlam bei o paya beravach gamdale upashtale zimnin demi hanadin. Hanazin? Oh, hadanazin. Mihandazin. Had yadadi kurgavan melech naich kidikai amar le Ravacha b'lei Rav Yosef Ravashi hacham amrinan mishmei mazutra de amar mishmei de Rav Papa ke kavatech. A dilemma was raised before the sages if both linings are perforated but not adjacent to one another. What is the halacha? Marzutra says the name of Rav Papa, if this occurred in the gullet, the animal is kosher, but if it occurred in the gizzard, it is unfit for consumption. If Ravashi objects to this, on the contrary, the gullet with which the animal eats and calls is spacious and flexible, and the animal constricts it and stretches it, since the two linings are not connected to each other. There are times in the course of their movement that the two holes align with one another, creating a fully aligned perforation. But the gizzard, which is always at rest in place, stands as it always stands. Accordingly, two such perforations will never align. Rav Acha, son of Rav Yosef, said to Ashi, so we say in the name of our Zutra that he in fact said in the name of Rav Papa in accordance with your objection. Rava veshet ein lo medika b'machutz ela b'fnim l'may nafka mina. Rava says a membrane that appeared due to a wound in the gullet, such as a scab that covered the perforation, is not considered a membrane that prevents the animal from being rendered a treifa. And Rava says the gullet cannot be inspected from the outside to determine whether the animal is a treifa, since the outer lining itself is red, and therefore reddening due to injury cannot be discerned in it. Rather, it must be inspected from inside, where the lining is white. The Gemara asks, what difference is there as a result of this statement? Meaning, in what case must the gullet be checked from the inside?